What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down why tomorrow is going to be a very important day as we have quadruple witching, not to mention new factions involving Tesla. But just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. Deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY. The offer ends very soon in just 11 days from now, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, for Tesla, we're looking very, very nice right now from a bullish structure. We got this nice inverse head and shoulders. We got this break above this 235 resistance, and Tesla's doing a good job at holding up. We also have the gap to fill up to about 246, which makes me suspect Tesla will eventually go higher and not just stop there, but possibly go all the way up to the 250s. Now, it is possible we go a little bit higher, but once we hit some tough resistance, we'll see if Tesla sees a little bit of consolidation first before we get that launch up higher. So I'll be watching this very, very carefully to see how it goes. But I first want to talk about something very important for tomorrow and how this could affect the markets, and I'll break down the charts. So for tomorrow, please note that it's going to be Friday, September 20th, 2024. At 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have Harker from the Fed giving a speech, which is very minor, might not cause much, but there is something that's going to cause a lot of volatility. Tomorrow is going to be a crazy day. We have over 1.1 million calls expiring for SPY and over 3.28 million of these puts expiring. So that's a 2.87 puts to call ratio. The majority of options expiring tomorrow are in the short side. And the question is, what will the market makers do? Will they cause a rug pull because of all the puts expiring? Will they cause another rally to new all-time highs, which is going to help Tesla launch? We'll just have to wait and see. I do want to mention that when you look at the options chain, there's a lot of interest at this 570 area for SPY. We're seeing very, very high amounts of open interest and volume over there. So we'll see if this is looked at. Also, 572 has that. So those are two potential bullish targets. On the put side, we're not seeing too much interest on the lower levels. I'm not seeing too much there. I'm seeing a lot of interest at 570, so that's going to be something else that's worth noting. We'll see how that goes, but that's what I'm seeing for the time being. Right now, I just want to mention that the greed is making up the majority of sentiments right now. We're seeing a lot of greed in the markets. The momentum indicators are extremely greedy as SPY is well above its 125 daily moving average, and we're doing a good job. And then on top of this, we also have the put and call option ratio at greed. So this was getting very close to fear. And what happened was, as time went on, for the past 5 days, a lot of these puts are being closed. They're hedging by buying calls. This is launching the market higher as just more potential. So that's why the market is seeing upside. We're seeing a lot more call buying, and we're seeing the ratios for shorts continuing to dip. So that's a good sign for the markets, at least for the bulls. And then for the VIX, we are looking more bearish as of right now. We'll see how the VIX ends up reacting. We're at support right now. We'll see if the VIX loses that. So be very patient with that as well. One more thing I want to talk about is this for the overall market. The market thinks there's a 60% chance we get a 25 basis point cut, and about a 40% chance we get a 50 basis point cut for November. So we'll see how it goes with the election coming up. For news about Tesla, I didn't really see too many headlines for today. We did see some banks out there come out and they're saying that they have bullish targets for Tesla with the $300 price targets after the robotaxi event. It's possible Tesla does see a big rally to $300 over the next couple of weeks, but that depends on deliveries and the robotaxi event. GM is also adding about 17,800 Tesla superchargers to its network, a great piece of news which is going to bring in more revenue for Tesla. I think it's absolutely incredible. On top of this, they're going to be not only approving their NACS charger, but they're going to be incorporating their own. And then this will allow them to have access to it. And then they're going to be having more access to retail chargers that cost $225. Bullish news for Tesla, bringing in more revenue as Tesla could charge GM owners, for charging and such. And on top of this, there's been a lot of talk about how stocks like NIO are making big moves because they have new price cuts coming for the Envda branded cars. That's good news for them, but why is this related to Tesla? The answer is the media is using this as something to kind of downgrade Tesla, kind of downplay them with. So I do agree with some of the points that yes, there's a lot of competition in China. Chinese EVs are very affordable, and Tesla is going to benefit a lot if they do come up with an affordable EV for China. But it's not the end of the world. I think Tesla is going to be fine in terms of their sales. It's still going to be very strong in China, but it would benefit Tesla a lot more if they have a more affordable EV coming, which is something Musk has been talking about for many, many years. So I can't wait to see what Tesla unveils. The robotaxi event may give us more hints about this, so I'm still waiting to see what comes out for that. Cantor Fitzgerald gave Tesla a neutral rating. We also have Canaccord Genuity giving us a buy rating, so a little bit of a shift. And then the price price ratio is going up right here. So this is showing signs that Tesla is gaining some strength. On top of this, when it comes to seasonality, I just want to mention that Tesla has a tendency of being very volatile during the first hour and also at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Fridays tend to be green only about 49% of the time, so it's almost 50-50. September tends to be a decent month, but October is not as strong for Tesla, so just be a little bit careful with that. Just wanted to call that out, but so far we're doing relatively well. Tesla also had a 100 million plus in volumes. That's above average with a 7% update. So it has momentum, and this momentum may help Tesla push even higher. So I think it's a good sign for us, at least moving forward. So that being said, what do I see for Tesla in the markets? What is my opinion of how things are moving? The answer is Tesla looks very bullish. Okay, we are going to eventually make our way up towards the 250s, in my opinion. It's not going to be a straight line up. We might be looking for a little bit more upside for the gap fill, a dip on Tesla, some sideways price action, but then eventually a push for that 250 target. The 4 hour looks very bullish. The daily chart looks quite bullish as well. As we have that gap to fill, we look very bullish on the daily. Lots of momentum is still remaining. Good volume is coming in. You guys can see a big surge in volume. The weekly looks pretty strong. So everything is suggesting Tesla will try to go a little bit higher. So I think what's going to happen tomorrow is tomorrow the market may try to push a bit higher again for another attempt, and we'll see if the market could hold and sustain the levels. But I suspect that Tesla will be pushing up to about 246 a share. I think we have a little bit more upside coming for tomorrow. I find that to be the most likely case. Now, for your levels, just to be safe, make sure you guys watch this resistance at 244. If we manage to break this on Tesla, we're going to be looking for a push all the way up towards that 246 area. So that's going to take us a lot higher. And then we'll see how we end up reacting to this. If we break 246, I think we go all the way up towards 250. If we don't break 246, we could consolidate in this range for some time, but look for a little bit more upside, and we'll see how Tesla reacts to that. If we don't break past, I'll look at 244 as resistance and our main support at 240. If that ends up failing us, we're looking for 238 all over again. So what do I think is going to happen? I give you guys the levels to watch for, right? If we break, if we hold above 244, we look for 246 or higher. And if we end up losing 240, we dip back down to 238. So what is my prediction? The answer is I think what's going to happen is in the morning, Tesla sees a big surge in volume. We like to see a lot of buyers step in. So I think we're going to be looking for a pump in Tesla tomorrow for that 246 gap fill. Might even try to go a little higher. I think we're going to see some consolidation up here just under the 248 area. And then what I think is going to happen is Tesla might dip back down towards the mid 240s and kind of consolidate for a little bit tomorrow to get a decent close. But I think there might be a little bit more upside in the daytime than a slowdown in the afternoon for some sideways price action. There's a lot of options expiring, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see some manipulation. So that's what I think Tesla's going to most likely do. So look for more upside for that gap fill and some sideways price action. But overall, Tesla still has more upside potential next week and later on, despite that. I also want to mention that as far as SPY goes, we look bullish. We're doing a good job at holding up, but we did see sellers come in at the very end of the day. This could be a manipulation as well. So in my video yesterday, I mentioned that technicals were looking kind of weaker, and that was a fact if you actually looked at them. And this was just manipulation. So sometimes that could happen. Technical analysis is right the majority of the time, but it's not everything, in my opinion. It's not everything. Sometimes there could be manipulation, unexpected factors could come, and they could end up manipulating the way these stocks end up moving. So with that being said, what I think is going to happen is we're going to be looking at these key levels. And I think there is going to be an attempt to get up to about 575 tomorrow. I find that to be very likely. So I think what's going to happen is SPY opens up kind of flat. And then there might be a little push attempts to get up to about 572. If we break that, we're looking for 575 or so for this next pump. And then we'll see if we reject off 575 or not. But I do think we're going to attempt to go a little higher with Tesla pushing up before we start dipping back down towards 572 and kind of consolidate in this area. Now, that's the more bullish case. The bearish case is if we end up losing 568, look for that gap fill for 565. I don't favor that for tomorrow. It may not happen until next week. For now, I think there's a lot of momentum and SPY is getting some good volume. So I think that we might attempt to go a little higher for 572, if not 575, if that breaks, come back down and then kind of consolidates tomorrow. And then that's what's going to lead to this interesting close. I think the market makers are favoring the call buyers, and I think that the puts are going to get squeezed again. So I think we might be looking for 575 tomorrow, then a rejection, some sideways price action after that. That is my prediction. But watch your levels just to be safe. If SPY loses 568, I will turn a little bit more bearish, but that's not a guarantee. It looks kind of like unlikely in my opinion. I also say that because the daily on ES looks more bullish. If we break 5,800, we're looking for basically 58.25 to 58.50 as our potential targets. If we end up losing 57.50, we're looking for a dip back down towards 5,700 flat. What I think is going to happen is we look bullish on the daily, and I think that we're going to be looking for 5,800 or higher. So look for some more upside potential for that 58.25 to 58.50 target. Then we could be coming back down after that. But I do see some upside potential nonetheless. For others out there like Nvidia's range bound right now. We have 120 to 118 as our range. If we lose support right here at this 117 area, we could technically come down to fill that gap towards 115 and then try to bounce after that. If we break past 118, we're looking for 120, so we'll see how it ends up going. I'm kind of in the middle of this. This is kind of stuck within our range. So break 118, we will turn back up. If we don't manage to do that, we could be tipping down to 115 and bounce. So what I'm thinking is we're in the middle. It depends if we could hold this or not. It could come down and then bounce back up higher. So there could be a small dip coming before it tries to bounce. That's a strong possibility, but overall, it looks very indecisive. It's not really doing much for now. It just shuffled for the majority of the day. So it needs more time to develop. For NQ, we look bullish so far. We got a nice looking double bottom like structure. And I think that if we break past 20,000, we're looking for 20,200, followed by 20,400. Those are going to be your potential targets. If we lose 20,000, we're looking for a dip back down towards 19,800. But I presume this is looking more bullish for the break of 20,000. So if 20,000 holds, we're looking for 20,200, followed by 20,400. NQ looks more bullish to watch and see how it goes. For the QQQ, we have this resistance to watch for at 485. If 485 breaks, we're looking for a big push all the way up towards 488. And if we end up rejecting, we get a big rejection right here off this 482 target, or I'm sorry, 480. This will be dipping back down towards 475. But this is favoring upside. The QQQ is still looking bullish, guys. There's no sign of it rejecting. It got a pretty strong close of 2.5%. Momentum does not just die out. There's going to be some momentum for tomorrow. We may dip a little bit upon open and start trying to bounce back up. And we'll see if 485 breaks. If we break that, we're looking for 488. So as of right now, it's holding up. If we lose 480, I will change my mind. We could turn back down. But as long as we're above that, we favor upside. And we're going to try to retest 485, if not 488 tomorrow. And then we'll see what it does after that. My prediction is we push for 485, if not 488. Then we start to consolidate after that because the market is still looking bullish. Apple looks bullish. We got a very, very strong close on the 4-hour time frame. Also, the daily is doing a very, very good job at pushing. So I think that there's a good chance we try to revisit 230 to 232. And this could be used to drag the S&P 500 and NASDAQ up. So I think Apple is going to be leading the way as well. I think Apple's going to be trying to go for that 230 area, if not 232. And then we'll see what it does after that. Apple could be looking for 230, if not 232 as potential targets. And then we'll see what the reaction is. So look for more upside, and then we'll see what it does from there. For others out there, we have Palantir, which is very indecisive. We have tough resistance at 37. And our main support to watch for is very close to that, about 35 targets. So I think that there's going to be a lot of consolidation between 37 and 35. I think we're going to most likely be stuck within this range for the time being. Tomorrow, we might see it try to pop a bit up to about 37.5, then dip back down to the 36 area, then just consolidate. I think that's very, very probable. Unfortunately, Supermicro looks a little bit weaker on the daily time frame. We did not get a very, very good close. It's showing some weakness compared to the QQQ and also compared to like Nvda. So I think it might dip towards 428s tomorrow. We'll see if it holds. It's just consolidating for now. Look for 428 and a bounce and some sideways price action for the time being. But if we lose 428, we're looking for this imbalance down here. So I'll see which way it goes. So be very patient nonetheless. As far as Rivian goes, we got this big rejection. If we end up losing the 13 area, there's going to be a dump coming back down to fill this gap. If we manage to break past 13.5, we're looking for 13.76. In my opinion, I think that there is some downside coming to Rivian. I think the low 13s are going to be tested, and then we'll just see how it goes, at least from there. So that being said, guys, I just want to say that it's very important to remember the levels we're at, and then we'll see how things go from here. For SoFi, we're kind of rejecting right over here as well. If we break past 8.5, we're going to push higher. If we reject here, we're going to be dipping back down. I think we might be dipping closer to 8, then we might try to bounce again on SoFi. We kind of pumped and dumps today, so look for 8s to be tested and maybe a bounce. So look for a little bit of a downside move before that move ends up coming. For the IWM Russell 2000, we have 226 as our resistance, and we have support around 220. I presume it's just going to consolidate between 222 and 225, going back and forth and back and forth. Not really doing much, right? I think it's just going to be completely sideways tomorrow. I do think that it's holding up very nicely, so we're not ready to dip yet, and we're just going to see some consolidation. AMD is holding up well. We did make it to the full measured move for the inverse head and shoulders, so we might be looking for a retest of 158 tomorrow. If we were to lose 155, though, not 155, sorry, 154, then we'd be coming down to fill the gap to 150. I don't think it's going to do that yet. I think we push a little bit higher tomorrow morning for 158, then we come back down and continue to consolidate. For Coinbase, we're kind of stuck in the middle. This looks a little bit weaker. It might come down a little bit before it tries to bounce. Might be looking for a retest of about 138 and a bounce on the daily time frame. So look for a little bit of a dip before it tries to bounce back up towards 145. A dip and bounce is very favorable. For Coinbase, I think the same thing is going on. This could also dip. If we don't hold 167, I'd be looking for basically a small dip back down to about 163. Then we could try to bounce off that. Look at resistance at about 172, and we'll get support around 167. If 167 fails us, we're going to be dipping a little bit before we try to bounce, but I find that to be the most likely possibility. For Amazon, I just want to say we're kind of indecisive up here. So we did go up to my target of 191 almost exactly. But the problem was we weren't able to break past that. We have 188 as support. If 188 fails us, we come down to fill the gap to 186. We're indecisive right now on Amazon. Although it's holding up nicely, I want to see it break 191 to remain bullish. If it doesn't do that, there could be a dip coming. So be a little bit careful with Amazon. This is at a tough resistance and it's kind of consolidating. So we'll see if it breaks or not. For Meta, we look more bullish. We got a very, very strong close, but 560 is going to be a stubborn resistance. If we break 560, we're looking for 565. If we end up losing our support around 555, we're looking for 550. If 550 fails us, we turn bearish. And if 560 breaks, we turn more bullish. Otherwise, we're just range bound between those levels. I think there is a chance it tries to go higher. We look very strong on the daily, so it might try to go for 565, but it's going to be a little bit tough because, once again, it's new territory. For Microsoft, I'm seeing a little bit of weakness. We did push to about 440 only to dip a little bit. It could come down to fill this gap. It's possible we come down to about 435, then try to bounce back up. So it could be a small bounce on this. We do have that gap to fill, and we didn't hold above 440. If we hold above 440, we're looking for a target of about basically 442. And if we lose that, we're looking for that gap fill below before it tries to rebound. So watch for that. For Google, we have 165 as resistance, and then we have our main support down here around 161. If we end up dipping, we're looking for 161 as our main support. And if we end up breaking past 165, we turn back up. I'm a little bit in the middle. If 162.5 does not hold, I think we could come down to fill the gap technically, but then Google could still bounce. It's still on a very, very strong rip right now. So if we do get a little cool off, that wouldn't be surprising to me. A little bit of a cool off than a bounce. It's very, very possible we're going to be fine even if that happens. DJT is dipping right now. I think we're going to be going all the way down to the target of 12.5. I think it still looks more bearish. There's a good chance this dips a little bit more. We have those supports to watch for. The VIX is kind of rejecting right here on the daily, but we have support to watch for at 15.82. I think we might be testing that tomorrow as the market pushes higher, but we'll see if we lose support or not. You want to be very, very patient nonetheless. If we lose that support, we're going to be dipping back down to the lower 15s. If we break past 17.4, we turn back up. This may turn down, so give this the time it needs. For the 10-year Treasury yield, we're looking at 3.746 as a resistance. If that breaks, we're looking for 3.82. And if this rejects, we're coming back down. It might not affect the market much. The dollar is at support around 100.5. Will we bounce here or will this end up losing support? It looks kind of weak right now. The dollar may end up losing 100.5 as the market pushes higher. So I'm thinking that the market may go higher tomorrow. I think that's the most likely case. I think I favor upside, so we'll see how things end up developing. So that being said, I think the market has potential to push more, and so does Tesla. Tesla could be trying to fill this gap tomorrow for that 246 target, but once we get to the 246 to 250, we might not break out more from there. We might see some what of a period of consolidation, some sideways price action before we see the next leg up. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up about that before tomorrow ends up coming. So with that being said, I just want to say I really appreciate you guys so much for listening. I hope you guys have a great day, night, or evening wherever you guys are around the world. And let me just say something real quick. When it comes to the way the market moves, I can't predict every single move that's going to be made. Sometimes completely unexpected things can happen when there's manipulation or there's big events. So don't expect me to be right every single time, but I do the best I can. And if I am wrong sometimes about my predictions, you always have my levels as backup. I'm giving those away for free, so you could always use them with your day trades, with your scalps. I think it's going to be another very, very useful thing to know whenever you are trying to trade or watch these charts. All right. So with that being said, Tesla's doing really well right now. It has a lot more upside potential. We could be starting a big squeeze as we're starting to see short volume decreasing, and Tesla has potential to rally a lot more. Tomorrow it might push a little bit higher before it cools down just a little bit. And then we might see some consolidation before it tries to push even higher after that, maybe next week. Overall, it's doing a great job, so get ready for what the future holds. Just two quick reminders. Don't forget that we're less than 2 weeks away from Tesla's big deliveries report. It's coming out on October 2nd. So that's going to be deliveries for Q3. That's going to be a big catalyst. And we also have the Robotaxi event on 10/10. October 10th is when Tesla has the next big catalyst. So we have two huge catalysts over the next 3 weeks. Get ready for some crazy volatility for Tesla, and we'll see how things go. All right. Have a great day, guys. Thank you for listening, and peace out.